In some states, you can work for union shops. That is, if you want to work for some employer, you have to join the union. In other states, there is not that provision. They're called right-to-work states. In some of these union shop states, you don't have to join the union, but you're still assessed fees. That is, the union can force you to pay for their collective bargaining, even if you're not a member of the union, because in theory, you're getting the benefit of that collective bargaining anyway. And what this case presents is an objection by some people who don't want to pay those fees. They're not union members, and they don't necessarily think that that collective bargaining might benefit them. An additional wrinkle is that there's a difference between private sector and public sector unions. That is, in the public sector, when the union is negotiating with so-called management, they're negotiating with the government. Can you be forced to pay for collective bargaining that, in the public sector context at least, looks a lot like political activity, like when the unions are negotiating over class size or teacher pay or pensions? These sorts of things certainly affect state budgets and education policy. Isn't charging fees for that sort of activity, isn't that like charging fees for lobbying? And the court is quite clear that the Constitution doesn't allow unions to charge people, non-members, for lobbying political activities. So this draws in the 1977 Supreme Court ruling in Abood versus Detroit Board of Education, which said precisely that in the public sector context, unions can charge non-members for collective bargaining, because if they don't, then those non-members get the benefit of the bargain without having to pay for it. Here, the court is considering whether to overrule Abood and whether, therefore, to say that the First Amendment freedoms trump this particular precedent. But even if the Supreme Court doesn't want to go so far as to overrule Abood and to prohibit these agency fees for non-members, there's another issue, and that goes towards funding the political activity of the union, which is something that a lot of unions, including especially public sector teachers' unions in this case, are involved in. Can that be on an opt-out system, or does the Constitution require an opt-in system?